Even if you were to run a wideband, you're basing it off of one bank or another bank, or if you have a merge collector that has them both together, you're going to be taking the readings off of the entire motor, and that gives you the average. It doesn't give you the whole scope. So every once in a while, looking at your plugs will definitely make sure that you're dialed in. If you're doing wide open throttle pulls, definitely look at your spark plugs, because that one cylinder that's running a little lean could cost you the motor. After you get your power valve dialed in, you're going to go into the secondary side of the carburetor, and you're going to have something called secondary tip in. Nobody really talks about this. I haven't found a lot of information about this, about people discussing this, but think about it in a double pumper situation specifically, is that you're in the primaries, you're going to pass a car, you're all good, you push it a little bit more, you start opening the secondaries, and all of a sudden you go dead lean. That's controlled by the secondary IFR. It's the same circuit as your transition, just on the secondary side. Typically, you don't have a problem with that if you're running a 4160 or a vacuum secondary carburetor that actually slows down the rate that the secondaries open up, because it tends to open up nice and smooth. By the time the engine's all revved up on the primaries, the secondary is just easing up and open, and it gives the motor a chance to catch up, and it runs really smooth. That's part of the reason why I really like vacuum secondary carburetors, because wide open throttle performance is really, really smooth. You don't typically get into the secondaries at all unless you're sustaining higher RPM or higher load for a little while. So if you're running a double pumper, we're going to be looking at the secondary transition. And if you have a vacuum secondary carburetor, you're going to be looking at the secondary spring, because the spring will control how fast or how slow your secondaries open. Some of the newer carburetors have a pre-dialed screw that'll make it faster or slower depending on which way you turn the screw. But for the most part, older style carburetor where you have to take the vacuum put off, you take the spring that's in it and you put either a lighter spring or heavier spring. I noticed that on stock style motors, low compression, not a lot of fuel, you want that opening point to be a little bit faster, because your engine's not really producing that vacuum that it needs to open that up right away. If you have a higher performance motor, a lot of compression, a lot of vacuum, especially at part throttle, you're going to want that spring to slow it down so it doesn't open too fast. The next step above that is you're going to be going into your secondary jets. If you guys are paying attention, the main jets actually came up before the transition. The secondary jets actually should come before the transition. This is a mistake on my part, but the reason I grouped these two together is because you should really pay attention to what your opening point is at the secondaries on a 4160 or vacuum secondary carburetor. And that's the equivalent of looking at the secondary transition, and I accidentally grouped them together, but in reality, you're looking at the secondary jets. And the reason we're going to be doing the secondary jets before both of those, it's hard to do that before the secondary spring because you have to open up the spring before you can get to the secondary jets. So on a vacuum secondary carburetor, it does get a little bit muddy, but you can figure it out. But in reality, the secondary jets do feed the secondary circuit, and they do feed the transition. The secondary jets should be done after the transition. And the way you tune the secondary jets, sustain like 75% throttle going up a hill, trying to pass traffic. And that's going to be in high gear, because high gear is going to be the leanest part of your carburetor. Now, above the secondary jets, or above these three circuits, you have the secondary power valve. And the secondary power valve might be necessary, but more often than not, it is not necessary. So if you think about it like this, you're running your car, you're running it at 75% throttle, you set up your jets. Now you're moving it up to a wide open throttle pull, but you're still within that window, that's still within that margin of error. Your car's not hesitating, your car's not slowing down. Maybe at 75% throttle, you were at, say, 12 to 1, and at full throttle, you're at 12.5 to 1. It also varies depending on RPM, gear ratio, but let's say you're still in the park, then you don't need that power valve to add that extra amount of fuel on top of that. Power valves don't give you any more power or take away power. They're just to cover up the lean spots the main jets cannot get across. Our carburetor circuits run on a curve, so if our main jet runs like this, and our secondary circuit runs like this, and you find a point right here where they intersect, that's where your power valve is going to come in and cover up the spot. So you see that there's another hump going down, but if it's still within the margin that it's supposed to operate, then you don't need to add that secondary power valve. I know very, very few cars that actually need a secondary power valve. Most of them, once they set up the secondary jets, everything else comes easy. And the last thing you're going to want to set up is your accelerator pumps. A lot of people like to look at the accelerator pumps as the number one thing you fix when you're trying to chase off idle performance. You guys have to remember that the accelerator pump is only on for a split second or 1 second. And the whole purpose of that is, let's say you are running at a constant RPM and then you move the throttle, or you try to avoid something, or you try to pass somebody. Because of the way the throttle works, if you're at a constant RPM and you snap the throttle, because the airspeed is faster than the fuel speed, you'll get a spike, a lean spike. So the purpose of the accelerator pump is to actually pump on that diaphragm. You're going to shoot fuel out the top nozzle, and that's what's going to cover up that lean spot. That's all it does. It covers up the lean spot, but it only does that for a split second. If you're getting off idle and you're accelerating and it's hesitating and it's still hesitating and it's still hesitating, you give it a little bit more gas and it stops hesitating, that means your IFRs are too small and your main jets are probably where they have to be. So a lot of people try to chase off idle performance in the accelerator pump circuit, but in reality, it's in the transition circuit. So the best way to tune every single one of these circuits is at a constant RPM, a constant speed, and a constant vacuum reading. And the way you decide what reading to choose is that once you're driving and your foot is steady in one certain part, and that's where your problem is, that's the problem that you chase. You're going to be able to solve 99% of your carburetor problems by just paying attention to what circuit you're in and making sure that you didn't miss something on the way up. So this was a lot of information. Most people don't teach this. This is not something that everybody knows. But if you can understand how this works, you guys will be on your way to dialing in a Holley carburetor, no problem. So that's all for today. I will see you guys all in the next one. Night Wrencher out.